Hey everybody and welcome to Chairman of the Board. Today I'm talking about Champions of Midgard, which is a 2 to 4 player worker placement game which takes about an hour to an hour and a half to play. Now the game is a pretty kind of standout worker placement game in respects to how it's been received. It's very highly rated on Board Game Geek. I think it's in the top 100. And it very much fits that kind of gateway game kind of niche where another kind of relatively similar game, Lords of Waterdeep, fits in. A lot of people regard this one as kind of a Lords of Waterdeep killer. I'll share my views on that in a bit. But the theme here is very, very different to Lords of Waterdeep. That one's very much a Dungeons and Dragons themed game. This one is a kind of Viking themes game. And the kind of twist on it is instead of collecting your normal wood, stone, gold, all that kind of stuff and building buildings, this one you are collecting food and wood, but you're also collecting different warriors. And those warriors are represented by dice. You've got 3 different coloured dice. You've got white dice, you've got red dice, and you've got black dice. And they kind of range in their kind of what they kind of specialise in. You've got white dice, which are a little bit more defensive, red dice, which are a bit more well-rounded, and black dice, which are a bit more aggressive. And you're going to use those dice to go basically send them off and fight different monsters. So you can either fight like these reoccurring monsters that appear at the top of the board, and those are a bit more predictable. Like you've got a troll, for example, that you fight, and you know, if you fight and defeat the troll, you can give like a negative token to someone else, and they kind of accumulate throughout the game and give negative points to other players. Likewise, I think if you all fail to defeat the troll, then everybody gets one of these negative tokens. So a bit of a kind of communal kind of objective there to worry about throughout the game. All the different monsters will have a very simple set collection mechanism where you've got 3 different kind of colours, and for each set of those colours you get an additional few points. There's your standard kind of objectives that you get throughout the game, like secret missions, and you can accumulate more of those for more end game scoring. But the kind of main focus of the game is this kind of idea that you're going to fill these ships off and send them off to the sea and fight these more powerful monsters out on the sea. So to do that, basically you have these different boats, and those boats have different capacities. So for example, one of the boats already on the board have a 5 capacity. That means you can put any 5 resources on there. So you can put, so for example, 3 die on there, or 3 dice on there, and maybe 2 food, because when you send these dice off, they need a number of food to feed them on their voyage. So it's quite thematic in that respect. So yeah, you've got to feed them as you're sending them off. But also, when not only are you sending off to fight these monsters, on the way there may be some kind of obstacle in the way. For example, you might encounter like a kraken, which can really affect your resources because it's another fight you maybe haven't prepared for. Or it might say, oh, get rid of one of your food, or get rid of, I think you can get rid of wood or dice and stuff like that. So yeah, you've got to kind of plan for contingencies throughout the game. And that is an aspect that I'm a bit mixed on. With these kind of it's very Euro and Ameritrashy kind of spliced together in this game. You know, in its mechanisms, it's very, very Euro-y in terms of its worker placement, but that fighting the monsters, because you fight the monsters using dice rolls. As I said, you roll in those dice, you're trying to match a certain attack point value to kill the monsters, and they'll fight you back and kill a number of your dice in return. And those monsters are what give you your victory points. It gives you coins, it gives you more mitigation tools in the form of these kind of horns that let you re-roll dice, and those if you don't spend them, they're worth points at the end of the game. But yeah, that is kind of what makes this game different to other games. It's that kind of splice between those 2 different genres of games. You've got as I said, the Euro-y kind of resource management, the Euro-y worker placement, and the dice rolling combat of the American genre of games. And as I said, that is where I really kind of am a bit jarred on this one, because I really like, you know, I love Euro games. That's where I really kind of, the point that I really enjoy this hobby. I like being able to plan, I like being able to strategize accurately. And this does really take that out of the genre, or out of the game, because, you know, luck is quite a strong factor. Yes, you've got mitigating factors. You can overcompensate by taking more and more resources on these trips, just to make sure you've really got enough to do it. And also you've got like the horns and stuff, as I mentioned, which let you re-roll dice and stuff like that. So you can kind of put more contingencies in place, more mitigation in place. But at the same time, you might just be absolutely battered by bad luck, and someone else might just constantly keep getting points in. And once you fall behind, it's quite hard to recuperate that because, as I said, you've literally just completely pissed those dice away if it doesn't go your way. And you could have spent quite a few times accumulating them. Now that's something that really doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well for me. It gives me a bit of anxiety in terms of planning things out. I want to always overcompensate for going for things. And I don't know, yeah, it's just like a personal thing that I don't kind of get along with. Now that being said, I can really see the appeal why some players would like this, that kind of risk on how much you're going to take. Are you going to have enough? Can I kind of get away with taking less than I really ought to? And maybe go on a couple of boat trips and stuff like that. You can also buy your own personal issue boats so that nobody else can kind of grab off you. So there's a really lot of cool things that go on in this. And I love the idea of having to feed your people on the voyages. I just would have really liked that factor to be more kind of cut and dry. Now that being said, I think there is an expansion to this one which does mitigate that kind of risk a lot more, because if you lose die in battle, they kind of build up a pool for something else. Now that being said, I've never played with that expansion, but it's something I'm eager to do because I think it could increase my kind of view on the game quite a bit. But yeah, that is where the game kind of sits on its, stands out from the rest of the crowd, is the dice rolling aspect to it and the way those dice are used. I think the theme, or the way the whole theme wraps together, is really, really well done. I mean, I said this, the concept of it's cool. It's just not that boring kind of collect, build, collect, build. Although it is that, it's very different in respect that you're building your kind of warrior force and sending them off to sea to fight, which is just a better twist on things, isn't it? Yeah, so I do like that. I love the theme. I love the look of the game. It looks really, really good. I mean, the boats, you've got different variability and different cards that come out. You've got the dice are really nice, like personal dice that they're all custom for the game. They've got all the different kind of weapons on them. The card artwork's really cool. You've got lots of creative different monsters. And again, I can really see why this game is so popular. But for me, it's that kind of that luck factor, that risk factor that doesn't quite sit well for me. And it could obviously skew things off in terms of the game's balance. The mechanisms themselves are very smooth. It flows very nicely. Uptime is really good. I think there's 8 rounds in the game, and those do really fly by. It doesn't outstay its welcome whatsoever, which are all things that I really have considered, and I do give the game props for that. So as I said, I think it really is a kind of a personal thing where I like to be more meticulous in my planning and be more accurate in my planning, and this game doesn't really allow that to the point that I really enjoy. As I said, yeah, the interaction between the players is okay. I mean, some of those positions are quite fiercely sought after, especially collecting dice and stuff like that. I mean, the dice do accumulate the more people don't take them, but you'll find that everybody does take them each turn. There's good kind of competition in terms of getting on those boats, buying new boats for yourself, getting the monsters that you want, because the monsters do build up resources as you don't fight them. So for every round that you don't fight a bad guy, they accumulate a coin, and the coins can be used for lots of different things. Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the game, and as I said, the kind of lucrativeness of the different places is quite good. It comes through very well. I don't like the troll. When you fight the troll, everyone, as I said, you can give negative tokens to other players, and that just kind of has a bash the leader kind of effect, or it can kind of lead to more metagaming where, if you don't want someone particular to win, you just keep giving them these negative tokens, which can really hurt them at the end of the game. I said replayability, pretty good, because you've got the different monsters, you've got the different setups, you've got different cards, you've got different bonuses, you've got different end game bonuses. So yeah, there's a lot going on in terms of its replayability. The components are really good. You've got different kind of player boards. They all have different powers on them. The powers seem relatively balanced from what I've seen. They're not ultra strong, ultra game swingy, but they're interesting enough to to make a little bit of a difference. As I said, I love the theme of the game. I think it works really well. And setup and teardown time as well, nothing to really complain about. So yeah, overall, as I said, it's a game that I can see why it's so popular. I can see the fun of it. but for this point in my kind of gaming career, I like something a bit more kind of strategic, a bit more, a bit more autonomy over your decisions and not be at the mercy of the dice as much as you can be. I might be overplaying that a bit or overstating that a bit, but it can definitely be a factor more so than I would like it to be. As I said, this is a solid game. I think it's better than your average worker placement game. But that being said, there's so many more worker placement games that I'd rather play than this one. It's a great gateway one, and to be honest, I think I prefer Lords of Waterdeep to this one. I think it's a bit simpler, it's a bit cleaner, and it's just a bit more interesting in my opinion. I like the way that you can buy buildings and stuff in that one. This one, you can't do that. But yeah, I can see why they're compared, but I think Lords of Waterdeep just gets the edge for me. Yeah, so that's Champions of Midgard. It's definitely a solid gateway game. Definitely try it out if you want to see those Euro mechanisms, Ameritrash mechanisms hit together. It does it well. Is it for me? Not quite. But that being said, I can still completely see why this is a decent game. It does get a decent verdict from me. And yeah, that's my opinions on Champions of Midgard. One to check out if you're into your kind of gateway games. Not too much of a learning curve on this one. And you know what? It is fun for what it is. Plays quickly, doesn't outstay its welcome, turns go by quickly. So yeah, a solid, decent game, but not quite for me. So that concludes my review of Champions of Midgard. If you have enjoyed the review, please hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.